intervention. Well, Labour has said, return the price to status quo. Well, compounding this issue is a recent announcement by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and NPCL, allowing petroleum marketers to purchase petrol directly from the Dangote refinery. This move comes amidst ongoing controversy surrounding the refinery, which has been touted as a game changer for Nigeria's oil sector, but has faced skepticism regarding its operational readiness and pricing mechanisms. But critics are now arguing that while direct purchases might streamline supply, it could also entrench regional pricing disparities as access to the refinery may not be uniformly available across all the states. Well, as the government navigates these challenges, the impact on consumers and the broader economy remains to be seen, raising critical questions about equity in fuel distribution and the future of Nigeria's energy policies. Let's discuss this, everyone. I have joining me the chief economist at the SPM, Dr. Paul Alaje. He joins us live in our Lagos studio. Thanks so much, Dr. Alaje, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. A beautiful evening to you.
It was bad enough that the price was as what it was over 900. Now is moved over 1,000 naira in places like Abuja. In other places in Nigeria is way higher than that. But in Lagos, where you are, is almost knocking on 1,000 naira. But for me tonight, is the plight of the average Nigerian is what concerns me. And I want to know, we saw the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy and how allowing or making the market freer to operate naturally as it should be. But that has escalated the inflation rate. Food inflation has gone up. Pricing of commodities had gone berserk. Now, how bad will this situation be? Are you one of those who will say, well, be patient, this is just one of what we see in the moment, but things will be better? Or are you the one who will tell us that, well, this is just the beginning, the prices will go higher?
Thank you once again for having me. Well, I remember that before His Excellency Mr. President announced subsidy removal on the 29th of May 2023, I granted an interview, and the similar interview were granted by different national stations, where it said, before subsidy is removed, we must emphatically ensure that there are functional refineries. The situation we are faced with today is one in which subsidy is said to be removed, even though not completely, from what we can see from research. Now Nigeria has to pay what we may want to call consequences of policies and also consequences of international occurrence. First, when we say that subsidy is gone, as at the day Mr. President announced subsidy removal, exchange rate was about 450 to about 600, let's say 750 naira to the dollar at the parallel market. At official window, it was about 480. Today, when you look at what exchange rate is not less than 1,600. When you have 1,600 compared to what was 480 to 750, you know that clearly we are paying for so many things, including disparity in exchange rate. We have heard about Dangote Refinery and the fact that Dangote Refinery is able to provide PMS, among other products for Nigeria, which include diesel, Jet A1, and so on and so forth. But we need to look at what is the origin of Dangote's input, which is the crude oil. Crude oil is paid for, although in naira terms, but it's paid for in dollar. What I mean by that is that crude is priced in dollar anywhere in the world. So if Dangote is supposed to pay, say, $70 per barrel or $65 per barrel or $80 per barrel, whichever the matter may be, it will pay naira equivalent. But that product essentially still has a tag of what naira to the dollar is. So if exchange rate today is 1,000 to $1, if it is 500 to $1, PMS price will come down. I've said all of this to say that one among several reasons why prices is going up is because of devaluation of naira. And I've mentioned to you in an interview similar to this before that an import-dependent country such as Nigeria, a country that imports most of its finished goods and is also devaluing, is what quote and unquote, one musician called Double Wahala for Dead Body. You cannot be import dependent, a developing nation, and still be devaluing your currency. There are options. One option is devalue so that you can have revenue into government covers, and we have seen evidence of that through FAC. Government have now more money for state, federal, and local government to share. That's an option so that government can spend. As life becomes more difficult, government provide infrastructure, electricity, and so on and so forth. The other option is we need to increase productivity. We need to improve exports. We are not seeing so much from that angle. What seems to be the low-hanging fruit is to devalue the naira, remove subsidy, government have more revenue. What household is supposed to enjoy is now being cut away. Firms
for the government to devalue. I don't know. Engineers, we need to get this working because I don't know why I can't be able to hear him directly. My question, and I want our viewers to be able to get it clearly. Is it a bad judgment call for the government to devalue the naira while we went ahead?
It's a bad one. 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 And I will tell you why. Venezuela did it. Yes. Venezuela did it. Venezuela is paying for it. See, a couple of months back, Ethiopia, an African country, just announced similar policy Nigeria embraced by the same advisors to so many African countries. And I put it there in the media space that this will be a big mistake for Ethiopia. Check the report yesterday. Ethiopia exchange rate went worse, just like Nigeria's own. You cannot be an import-dependent country and be devaluing your currency. You can ask any economists if they will be truthful to you. Listen, there were many economists, some of which you have interviewed. What they will tell you is that it's going to be well in the long run. Ask any of them, when exactly is the long run? The person, one of the greatest economists that we had has explained the meaning of long run to us. The long run is a time when we are all dead. When economics policy is based on long run, you have to be very careful. It has to be a time that is reachable. Is it 5 years' time? Is it 1 year time? Is it 3 months' time? Is it 5 months' time? Is it 10 years' time? But when you say that we are going to be in the long run, then I have a lot more to be worried about. Because you cannot tell me when that long run is.
Let's tell ourselves the truth. And I'm imagining that Nigerians who are watching tonight will want to hear the truth no matter how bitter. Is it possible now that the government can retrace its step if there was a bad decision? Because I imagine that the market will respond to the hike in the price of petrol because transportation is at the heart of commodity movement. Now, the question is, we saw the hike in the price of inflation, food inflation has skyrocketed. And I'm imagining what could happen to every other commodity. What would you advise that the government would do? Because on one hand, I'd like you to let us know. Is it going to be the least or the cheapest in the price of petrol that we are seeing today? Or is it going to go higher on one hand? On the other hand, are we able to retrace our steps? Can government retrace its step if we are on a bad path?
Okay, so first of all, when we say that we want market forces, one of the reasons that NPCL gave recently to the current increase is the market forces. The market forces refers to the forces of demand and supply. Now, we know the population, we know the Nigerian population, and we know that the population is growing at a number higher than 2.5%. The real problem is the supply side. What happened to supply side? Are we able to supply? You have mentioned today in this interview controversies around Dangote refinery. And we have also heard that if we are not getting from Dangote refinery, we have to import. So we have to be faced with exchange rate pass-through or challenges of exchange rate. Therefore, I can tell you that when you say invisible forces, invisible hand of demand and supply, one hand is already amputated. That is the supply side. So you cannot allow force of demand and supply when the table is not balanced. The table is tilted against us because of our inability to export enough, because of our inability to have sufficient remittances coming from abroad, unlike what India did and India is currently doing. It's also tilted against us because of our inability to be productive enough. Our attention as a people, and indeed for our government, will be how do we drive this economy from being consumptive-oriented to one that can produce, to one that can export, to one that can manufacture, to one that can grow massively into agro-processing. For instance, I pick a state. You just interviewed one of the former governors in Ekiti State. Can we convert that state, Ekiti, to an agro-processing zone such that all local government, most places in Ekiti, when Ekiti comes to your mind, what will come? Think about it now. When you hear the word Ekiti, what comes to your mind? But what should we be thinking about when we hear of Ekiti? Will be massive agro-processing zone. That is what China did. Nigeria wants to develop like China, but we don't want to become productive like China. Is it not funny to hear? Now, what should we do? I've mentioned time and again, one of the things we can do is to look at how do we protect this currency. Now, many people may not like Donald Trump of America, but I can tell you the crisis the world is currently faced with started in 2019 when the then American president, President Trump, said American first, and he placed a lot of taxes on Chinese products. Why? He felt that how will his country have trade deficit and balance of payment in deficits to China? Meanwhile, he is said to be the largest economy in the world, and that did not sound correctly. So, 2020, COVID came in, and the world has not completely came out of the pressure that started in 2019. But all of this, look at American economy, is certainly bounced back in 2019, and in fact, after COVID experience, most part of the world are still facing, because just after that, we saw Russia-Ukraine war. We are currently seeing what is happening in the Middle East. We need to first fall in love with our country by protecting our currency. And this may not be a popular opinion.
All right.
But you see, if you ignore it, it's to your own derailment. Let me answer your question directly. What should we do? From reports, we are losing, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, over 700,000 barrels of crude oil. As again 2.1, what we are doing currently is 1.4 million per day. According to National Bureau of Statistics, the fourth quarter report that was shared on oil output. What happened to the remaining 700,000? Oil theft, low investment. Can we attract more investment in oil and gas? Because that's our low-hanging fruit. A lot of people say, no, we should overnight start having export. No. It will be over time, but that over time will start with vision. What is not very clear is what is our vision for becoming a major exporting nation. Well, I've not really seen that.
Just give me a moment.
Or in the media.
Yeah, Dr. Alaje, give me a moment. I need to go on another break, but when we come back, your party shot will be what will either comfort us or will be a bitter pill for us to swallow and be prepared for the worst or for the good. Yeah, that's going to be my last question and your parting shot on the program. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to Dr. Paul Alaje and our final concluding moments on the program. Dr. Alaje, I know it's a difficult one for you to say, but I'll plead with you. It's better that we know that it's a dangerous path ahead and it's a dark one ahead, and we prepare for it rather than now working in the dark. Can you tell us, how difficult would the coming days be, considering what we are experiencing now? Are we likely to see an increase, an increase in the petrol price, a more increase in price of commodity? Is that what could happen?
Well, because of time, I would like to answer this question and make it solution-driven and solution-oriented. My advice directly is to Mr. President, His Excellency President Tinubu. Two things that must be done very urgently is stability of Naira. Naira cannot fluctuate around 1,500, 1,600, 1,700. We must do everything possible to make Naira exchange rates to be very stable, because it will affect the pump price, it will affect everything, including the price of bread. The second one is supply side. That may not even be done today or tomorrow, but we must find alternative to a single source of buying PMS. One refinery will not be sufficient. Import alone will not be sufficient. We need to start making policy to make this available in different parts of our country. I'm sorry, Mr. President, if we don't, prices will go up, life may be tougher, and maybe even more dearer for our people in the coming months and in the coming weeks.
Well, brace up, everyone. It might be tougher days ahead, but if the government comes out to let us know how tough it could be and what we need to do to ease things on the average person, that might be better. It will save life. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul Alaje, Chief Economist at SPM. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. So that's all today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimberly. Bye for now.